What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, and today I'm going to be giving my top 10 at this moment in time, a couple weeks before Christmas 2022, top 10 Captain Beefheart and his Magic Band songs. This was a stupidly hard list, I thought, only because like two of these albums, both Trout Mask Replica and Lick My Decals Off Baby, I've never really thought about. Those are two albums I've never really thought about what my favorite song is, because I don't ever like, I only listen to those albums in like their entirety. I don't listen to Trout Mask Replica in their entirety. I generally listen to that in sides. I think that is a better digestible album in sides. I have a favorite side. But I've never really thought about what my favorite songs were, but I realize currently when I listen to them, there are certain songs I'm really, really excited about getting to, right? So yeah, so that's it. There we go. But that's it. So I'm just gonna list my top 10 favorite Captain Beefheart songs. I'm just gonna go through them. At the end, I'll put that list up on the screen so you can see the list, and then yeah. That's it. Then you tell me what your favorites are, or you tell me why these should not be my favorites, or why I'm wrong, or, all kinds of crazy things that you can yell at me for, or comment angrily at me about, or be happy about, or go check out these songs for yourself and go, wow, that's a good song. I like it. I am realizing a lot of these songs tend to be, no, they're just good songs. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to justify them. I'm just going to tell you what they are, people. So here we go. On to the list. Number 10 is One Red Rose That I Mean. This is the only song that I put on here off Lick My Decals Off Baby. It is an instrumental track, guitar only. I love his guitar composition solo pieces. They're not like guitar solos, but it's guitar only. It's like an electric guitar, but like clean, but not that clean. And this is just another, like, just under 2 minutes, a solo piece for guitar, written composition. And what I really like about this piece in particular, this is the only guitar solo piece that I put on this list, is when I first started getting into Beefheart, I always thought that this was a solo that reminded me of Steve Howe in particular. There's a section towards maybe the latter 2/3 of this song that remind me of Mood for the Day, or Mood for a Day, off Yes's Fragile album. It doesn't have that dun 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 dun, not that like as normal sounding sort of riff, but there is a part where I can almost see like Steve Howe just like dun 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 dun, going into like that Mood for a Day riff or something like that. And so it just is always reminding me of Steve Howe. So it was like it was something I've always looked forward to on this album. It also follows Petrified Forest, which didn't make this list, but that's another like minute and a half song that I just ridiculously love more than almost anything else on that album. For some reason, it just has a really good energy that I think is fantastic. But then this follows, and the contrast I think is just one of the best things on this album. So I've always had just a particular soft spot in my heart for One Red Rose That I Mean. That's number 10. Number 9 is Pachuco Cadaver. This is the lead-off track on side 2, side B of Trout Mask Replica. Yeah, another just great song. It's got a great, I really like the sort of opening rhythm that sets up the song. It goes for a good long while, like 45 to 50 seconds before the first lyric comes in. Then you get about 2 minutes of lyrics, and then you get a nice long sort of extended sort of instrumental very rhythmic driven sort of section to close out the song. So I've always sort of liked the way it kicked off the second side of the album. Yeah, and it's just a really good song. I mean, I think, yeah, I don't know what to say. Again, I think anything off Trout Mask Replica, or like My Decals Off Baby, I'm just not qualified to talk about. But I really like that song, and I like it as an opening track on side 2. I think it leads really into what is one of the more straightforward song-oriented sides of this album. Starts off with some fast and bulbous spoken word thing before we get into the music, which I enjoy. But yeah, Pachuco Cadaver, and I love the way he says Pachuco or Pachuco. He says it in a weird Beefheartian sort of way that I always enjoy. That's number 9. Number 8 is Sue Egypt off of Dock at the Radar Station, I always have thought that this song sounded like a really twisted, sort of psychedelic to the extreme version of a later song, REM. It would not come out for like, what, a decade later almost? Not quite much. REM's What's the Frequency, Kenneth? But that opening guitar part in Sue Egypt, it's like a fully chorded guitar riff. Always reminded me, or I think I probably heard them both around the same time. Reminded me of What's the Frequency, Kenneth, for some reason. And so I've always liked that this is like Beefheart sort of, had Beefheart known who REM was, which obviously this came out before REM ever came out, this would be like his twisted, convoluted version of like an REM indie rock song. And so I've always liked it. Plus, there's a really neat sort of, I guess it's an organ breakdown part in the middle where things get kind of organy and a little bit spacey, for lack of a better word. But I like that part. And I just like the dynamics of the song. And Sue Egypt, I just love his performance of it. Just a great, great track. Number 7, the 1010th day of the human totem pole. This is a very cinematic number. It's a very slow, very methodical, sort of very rhythmic driven, but like not like a hyperactive, but a very slow, almost like plotting, picking out your boom, dun, 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 dun type rhythm. And it's about a human totem pole. And like, it's standing there and people trying to get, exercise was isometric and you're trying to flex and bend and get some exercise while you're holding up people on this human totem pole, trying to take care of your bodily needs, trying to just take care of life while you're stuck on this human totem pole. And there's a lot of lyrics, and then after the lyrics you had a couple minute and a half of like just extra weird convoluted sort of Captain Beefheartian music that kind of just goes on for a while. Yeah, just an absolutely stupidly fantastic number. Number 6, Alice in Blunderland, an instrumental off the Spotlight Kid. Kind of reminds me of a Zappa number. I think it's something like, we Are Not Alone off Man from Utopia kind of always reminds me of that. It's not as upbeat and do-do-do-do-do. It's not as poppy as that. But it's got a really nice rhythm, a lot of percussion in there, really nice, almost sort of traditional guitar solo. When I first started getting into Beefheart, this was a song that I loved from the start because it was easily accessible. And over the years, it still has just sort of just remained in my heart. And then Henry Kaiser, a musician at San Francisco, a guitar player, he covered this on one of his albums and would do this live. And so hearing that, I've always just liked this song, and hearing it other places and hearing other people do it, I always appreciate it. But yeah, it's just a really tasty, accessible instrumental that I actually think is a really good, tasty, accessible instrumental. Number 5 is The Sheriff of Hong Kong, off of another song off Dock at the Radar Station. Another song that just has really good riff energy. I just love the song, love the lyrics. It's a longer number. I think like a couple of these are on here are some of his longer numbers. And I think when he's working longer numbers, but in more of a, not a jam as in Mirror Man form, but more of a compositional form, he's able to like delve into some rhythms for a little longer and kind of let them play out and kind of toy with ideas a little more that I really appreciate. But yeah, just a really good song. Sheriff of Hong Kong off of Dock at the Radar Station. Number 4, Ode to Alex off Shiny Beast. Love the opening riff. Just this really kind of piercing dun 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 dun, and then it goes into this hardcore, very heavy on the slide guitar. Like there's a point in the middle when he's singing the lyrics, and you can just feel like the energy's building and building and building until it just sort of erupts into this absolutely amazing sort of slide guitar led jam, for lack of a better word. But yeah, it has a ferocity to it, like a straight slide heavy blues rock ferocity that is different than Captain Beefheart's normal ferocity. It's definitely channeled into more of a, again, accessible. I don't think he is a great artist because of his stuff is accessible, but sometimes he taps into that sort of more mainstream stuff and just hits it out of the ballpark. Just a grand slam. And On an album I absolutely love, on which I've left a number of tracks not on this list because there are so many good tracks on this album. Ode to Alex to me is always the one that like just it comes on the second outside side B. This is something I listen to a lot on the CD, and when we get to that point, to me, it's sort of the last pinnacle of the album. And there are some really good points after that, but this is sort of the sort of seventh. I don't want to say the seventh inning stretch. That seems not right, but it's I don't know. It's really the pivotal scene, and then you still have some things to play out and kind of wrap things up. But to me, it's the highlight, the last real highlight of that album. Love that song. Number 3, Her Eyes Are a Blue Million Miles off Clear Spot. My wife and I put this on our wedding CD. That is how accessible of a song it is we both thought, my family and her family, they can handle this stuff. They won't be like, ooh, skip this. And it turns out, I had a couple friends who were not familiar with Beefheart, and they got the CD and they actually went and checked him out because of that song. And one like ended up being a Beefheart fan. The other one was like, oh no, I'm not a Beefheart fan, but I still like that song. But again, it's just a great song. It's a ballad. It's a love song. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. His singing is gorgeous. The playing is gorgeous. The vibe is gorgeous. The groove that is like gently laid down is gorgeous. I think it is just such an absolutely gorgeous, almost hypnotic song. Just fantastic. Number 2, the second track off Trout Mask Replica, Moonlight on Vermont. This is the closing track on side A of that. Another sort of like, for lack of a better word, more standard song. Like it feels like there's a beginning and an end, and it feels like it's a normal composition, even though, again, the rhythms and all that stuff are chaotic. But the one thing I've always liked about this is it closes out side A, and I just remember I'm really into like the original sequencing of albums. And I really think that an album can be undermined by bad sequencing and can be made better by great sequencing. And I think the first side of Trout Mask Replica is a perfectly sequenced side of music. And Moonlight on Vermont is the last song. It is a great song, but at the very end of the song, he starts singing, just give me some of that old time religion, which is like referencing an old, like, I think it's an actual gospel song or maybe a blues song that he's sort of quoting there. And there was something about that I always thought was just like really, really cool. That after this side of like 19 minutes of the most like challenging music I'd ever heard originally, that had some like just utterly howling wolf, devastating blues in it, that had some XTC to the nth degree frantic sort of power pop and Ella Guru, that had Frownland, which was this that had this beautiful melody underneath was just chaotic music. To end it with this really cool, crazy, chaotic song that kind of had a structure, but that ended up with this like callback to like a gospel song or like this blues song, I thought that was just such a beautifully Beefheartian thing. And I was always able to make it through the first side of that album because I knew that was coming like 6 songs in. And so it made it easy. And then over time, I fell in love with Pajuco Cadaver because that's the next song on the album. And so those were kind of the hooks that allowed me to get through the rest of the album. And I've had many, many other favorite songs on that album over the years, which I'm not going to acknowledge because I don't do honorable mentions. But the ones that have always been there on Trout Mask Replica are Moonlight in Vermont and the number 9 on here, Pachuco Cadaver. And then my favorite song, which, I don't know, it just has one of my singular favorite moments in all of music. It's Big Eyed Beans from Venus. Because distant cousins, there's a limited supply. We're down to the dozens, and this is why. Some great slide guitar work. It's got this great, just incredible groove to it. It's got some great building energy, but there's a moment where the slide guitar just hits this note and lets it float, and it just like almost floats to where it's like not even present. It's like, and you can feel him just like shaking that string, and it almost gets to the point where you can't hear it before it comes back in, and the whole band erupts into just this like chugging, almost like give and take type propulsive groove that is just utterly like explosive and hypnotic and just an absolutely beautiful moment of just Beefheartian magic. Yeah, just an absolutely fantastic song. Big Eyed. beans from Venus. But yeah, those are currently my top 10 songs. This was hard because I left off 50 others that could easily have replaced these 10, and I'd be equally happy defending those. I actually went back and looked at a couple, what are they called? They're called iPods that I have lying around from like back in the day. And so I pulled them up to look at, I had playlist on here. So I looked at my Captain Beefheart playlist to see like, oh, I haven't listened to this iPod in like a while because I don't know why. But what did I used to like? And so I kind of had to narrow down the things that I think I've always liked because there were so many songs from Beefheart that I really think I would are my favorite. Like if I listen to an album, that's almost always my favorite album because I just love him so much. But anyways, I'm just rambling and trying to defend my choices. But these are my choices. That's the list. They're on the screen. Those are the 10. Yeah, I have nothing more to say. But let me know what your favorite Beefheart songs are. You know how this works. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Sorry if I left yours off the list, but I'm not really sorry because this is my list. But anyways, thanks for the comments. Leave a comment, subscribe, like, share. But more importantly, go listen to music, people. That's the entire point of this channel. Is to get more people to listen to more music because the world's a happier place when we do that. That's it. Peace, y'all, and have yourself a merry little Christmas. And a happy New Year, and a happy Hanukkah, and a happy Kwanzaa, and anything else you might celebrate. Peace, y'all. Bye.